Hello everyone, I'm Dan,
And I'm Sabrina.
and today for Earth Day we're going to be discussing some ideas for sustainable crafting. In the current crisis, crafting can be a great way to keep busy and occupy yourself whilst you're stuck inside, and it's also a great way to stay connected with friends and family as you can make things and send them to them.
For those of us whose disabilities make physical hobbies more difficult, crafting can be a great way to stay active.
Like everything else in our lives as pagans, human beings, and inhabitants of this fine planet, we need to consider the environmental impact of our crafting. So in this video, we'll give you some ideas of ways you can keep crafting whilst minimising your impact on the planet. One of the best ways to craft sustainably is to use things that would otherwise be thrown away. The concept of upcycling is one most people have heard of, and it's something that you can do for your crafting. For example, when I inherited an old fur coat, I repurposed the fur as edging for these hats. You can see here, I'm not wearing mine, but this beautiful chap is, and the cape as well. Obviously, I wouldn't condone killing animals for their fur, but when the old fur already exists, I personally believe the best way to honour the animal is to reuse it for something that will be loved and cherished.
So I'm a yarn hoarder and I love buying new yarn, but there are some great ways to repurpose old things into usable yarn that can be used in like new and exciting projects. So t-shirt yarn is made from old t-shirts, cut in such a way that you make a continuous piece that can be made into like lovely soft chunky yarn. You can buy jumpers from charity shops that may not be in your current style or size, and you can unravel that to make a whole new item. You can even make plan, which is yarn made from plastic bags. That's great for making outdoor cushions, or I've seen people using them as sleeping mats for the homeless. And there'll be links in the description below if you'd like to know how to make these.
When it comes to getting new materials, there are strategies you can take to be more sustainable as well. So avoiding items with lots of air miles and instead going for local materials is generally a good start. As of course is avoiding anything that's got microplastic in it.
So now everybody loves a bit of sparkle, but glitter is something that really should be avoided. It's been said that glitter is the herpes of the crafting world because it's never truly gone. I thought this was funny to start with, as everyone knows how annoying it is to get rid of glitter, but then it ends up in the sea in the food chain, and it's just really horrible stuff. So, and also you be aware that bio glitter may not necessarily be as eco-friendly as it sounds. With regards to wool, most wool is burnt by farmers who have no other way of getting rid of it because they have to pay shearers and then pay the wool board. It's just making it not financially viable. But if you live close to a sheep farm, you may be able to pick up a whole raw fleece, which is for very little money at all. There's also the option of picking fleece from wire fences, but please ask farmers before doing this. Recently, I've been experimenting with fibre much closer to home. We rescued an Angora rabbit a few years ago, who needs her hair cutting quite a few times a year, which is lovely to spin. We also have two very hairy Tamascan dogs, and I've managed to actually start spinning some of their fur. So yeah, that's fun. And if you are lucky enough to get some free or cheap animal fibre, there is a whole world of natural dyeing too. We're currently saving up onion skins, so you can dye some yarn a nice light yellow colour. I've also been gifted some avocado skins, and they produce a lovely pink colour. I haven't actually used them yet. But I've also experimented with turmeric, producing a very vibrant yellow, and also using leftover food dye that might be out of date, and just using plain white vinegar to fix the dye. Yeah, I don't.
Do you have a book
Oh
about natural
yes.
dyeing, Sabrina?
I also have been someone, Chris Holmes, has lent me this book on natural dyeing. So yeah, it's a really really good read. So if I can find a link for it, that'll be in the description as well.
So unless you're against using animal byproducts at all, you can do lots of craft with items left over from the meat industry that would otherwise be thrown away. Again, I do not condone killing animals for its skin, bone, horn, etc. But when an animal's been killed for its meat anyway, I personally think it's respectful to the animal to use as much of it as you possibly can. Something I've started doing along these lines is working in leather craft. And I've actually found that goat leather, which I've got some of here, is a really nice material to work with. It's thin, it's quite soft, and it's relatively cheap. Reason being that goat is actually one of the most widely eaten meats in the world. I mean, there's a huge amount of byproducts from goat going to waste. So using their leather is both sustainable and also, I personally think, respectful to the goat, because I think if an animal is going to be killed, you should use as much of its body as can be used, rather than throwing it away. Um, as I said, you can also do some amazing craft work with bones, horns from animals that have either been killed for meat or died in the wild. You might find things when you're out in nature. As with everything else, though, try and source locally. There are plenty of resources available close to home, so there's no need to be flying hides or bones or other animal products from around the world. There's probably some stuff in the woods near you, or there's plenty of farmers nearby who will have things that are just going to waste that you should be able to do something with.
So from a yarny perspective, if you aren't keen on using animal fibres, there are other options like fair trade cotton, bamboo, and hemp. And whilst they can be more pricey, they can be composted at the end of their life, unlike acrylic or synthetic fibres. I'm actually waiting to try and make some fibre from stinging nettles when they grow up over the summer. That's
Another craft that can be sustainable, if you think about where you source your materials, is woodwork. So lots and lots of wooden furniture ends up being taken to the tip when it breaks, or even when it just goes out of fashion, or it can't fit in someone's house anymore. But obviously the wood in it is still largely usable. So if you can get hold of old furniture, old doors from houses, pallets, yeah, any old wood that was otherwise going to be going to the tip or to be burnt, and use that in your crafting. And of course, you can't always do that. If you are going to use new wood, that was harder to say than I thought it would be. Look at using fast-growing native species close to you that are sustainably sourced. Again, you don't want to be looking at using tropical hardwoods or anything like that that's been flown across just for that purpose. Obviously, if you're reusing an old item that's already here and would otherwise be going to waste, that's, in my opinion, the same as the animal byproducts. It's there, you might as well use it, but try and avoid importing resources and things from overseas where you can. Technology problem. There we go.
So there's also lots of things you can do with packaging and other items that would normally be considered rubbish. How often has a child played with the box? A toy has come in more than the toy itself. I know our dogs are like that. They love packaging. But you can use cardboard packaging to make almost anything. The only limit is your imagination. There are links in this description where you can find all sorts of ideas for simple crafts that you can do with items that most people have just lying around the house.
So finally, as well as your materials, it's important to think about your tools. You can not only save yourself a lot of money by buying second-hand tools for your craft work, but you're also keeping these perfectly good items from ending up in landfill themselves. Older tools as well, much less likely to be made from plastic and will probably last you longer than new items that you buy today.
So that concludes our short video on sustainable crafting for Earth Day. We hope that it has inspired you and given you some ideas to do your own projects. We'll finish with a prayer to Yord, the Earth Mother.
Hail to Yord, gracious hostess of the living, of birds, of animals, of mankind. All owe their life to you, for without you we would have no hearth. Ancient lady, bearer of Odin's most powerful son, we owe you so much, but all too often take you for granted. Thank you for our homes. Thank you for sustaining our lives and the lives of our kin. Hail, Yord.
Thank you.